Alright guys, so I just finished watching American Gangster with Denzel Washington and Russell Crowe, and let me tell you, this is one of those crime epics that demands your attention. It's brutal, stylish, and it's messy in all the ways a real story should be. The movie drops you right into Harlem in the late 60s, and we meet Frank Lucas, basically the driver and apprentice for Bumpy Johnson. Bumpy Johnson is a man in a movie that is well respected by his community, seen handing out turkeys and respected like a don. When Bumpy passes away from a heart attack, everyone shows up to his funeral. Pimps, mobsters, even Italians. That funeral says it all. Bumpy was the center of Harlem's underworld. Frank at this point seems low in the food chain, but you see flashes of who he is. Cold, calculated, and not afraid to torch and shoot a guy in the opening minutes. Denzel plays him with this scary calmness. He doesn't raise his voice much, but when he acts, it's violent and final. Parallel to Frank, we get Richie Roberts, played by Russell Crowe. He's this rare honest cop in a corrupt system. He and his partner stumble on almost $1 million in a trunk. Richie turns it in, and suddenly he's hated by every cop around him. The subplot is great because it shows how deep the rot went in law enforcement back in the 70s and 60s. Around this time, his partner started getting hooked on drugs. And because of this, he actually murders a guy.
So pull a piece on me, man. Can you fucking believe it? Pulls a piece on a cop? They do it, man. Kill or be killed. Fucking Grail, scum of the earth.
A guy didn't pull a gun on a cop, Jay. That guy pulled a gun on a junkie. The junkie was trying to rob him.
Mark, you murdered the guy! Getting shot at! You murdered the guy!
That is further into the subplot, though. Frank builds an empire by cutting out the Italian middleman, and he goes straight to Vietnam. He brings in heroin that's stronger and cheaper and brands it as blue magic. That's where the real money starts rolling in. He even runs it like a business. Family members as managers, branding, consistency. It's kind of brilliant and kind of terrifying. Some key highlights. The piano scene where Frank smashes a guy's head in. Brutal. The daytime shooting in the street. He just walks up, shoots a rival in the head, and walks away calm. Probably one of my favorite scenes. Follow that up with the church raid near the end. The streets are lined up with cops, and Frank is just staring, stone-faced, like he knew it was coming. And of course, the downfall. His wife nearly got shot, his brother flips, the money gone, and the feds circling in. My complaints. Frank and Richie don't age at all, even through the years that pass after Frank is put away for 15 years. I really felt like the actors should have been at least given more gray hair, maybe have Frank and Richie grow a beard or something to show that they've aged. Some scenes, like the Project Raid, are shot too shaky and hard to follow the action. Frank's backstory is filled in nicely, but Richie's life after the case feels thin. They become friends at the end, but we don't really see why or how. Outside of the scenes where they're talking in the interrogation room, where Frank and Richie are focused on putting away guys. If you don't already know the story, some parts feel rushed or confusing, like the cash counting scene early on. The acting that Denzel does almost in any movie, I don't care what movie you go and pick out some of his earlier works. But Denzel is magnetic, charming one moment, terrifying the next. Crowe is understated but holds on his own. The period feel, the clothes, the cars, the music, it really puts you back in the 1970s in New York. But there's also times where I feel like it's a bit modern. You can't always, especially with Denzel Washington, I'm sure he cost a lot of money. Sometimes it feels 2000s, specifically in the streets. It's just a vibe I picked up off, though. And this is not just a gangster movie. It's also about corruption, ambition, and the system itself breaking down. This story barely precedes the RICO Act, which was the government's big weapon against organized crime. The movie shows the end of that golden era for mob-style empires, and like Goodfellas, it's a rise and fall story, rags to riches to rat. Historically, Frank Lucas himself has disputed some parts of his story, but Hollywood took liberties to make it more dramatic, and that's really typical with crime epics. Overall, I think American Gangster holds up on its own. It's not perfect, but it's probably in the same league as Goodfellas or Scarface. If you're into crime sagas, this one's worth the 2.5 hours. For me, the highlights were the performances and the sense of controlled chaos as Frank's world spiraled down. Let me know in the comments, did you really think Frank was a genius businessman or just another Scarface who got lucky? Should I cover Goodfellas next? Please let me know what movie you think I should be covering next Monday. Hit that like button if you want me to break that one down. And now that we get all that out of the way, if you haven't figured it out, I'm going to start doing Mafia Movie Mondays from now on. I don't know for how long. I don't know if it's going to be a permanent thing. Probably going to be a thing for a while. And why did I exactly make this review about American Gangster? Specifically because of the review, or specifically because of the video I released, or I will be releasing soon. I was doing research on the top 10 richest mob bosses, and Frank Lucas was on there. And he sounded really interesting, and I found out he had a movie, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna be doing Mafia Movie Mondays anyway, so why not? Anyway, I appreciate it if you guys would like, subscribe, and comment. And yeah, thank you guys. Talk to you soon.